What's going on today, guys? My name is JSP, and today we are grading the Chicago Bears roster of last year. We're grading each player, well, not every player, because of some players I don't care about. So just let's assume they have an F. I'm just kidding, but just the ones that I wrote down, I'm going to grade. So I'm going to be grading some players, giving you the grade, and then I'm going to tell you why I gave them that grade. So first up, we got Justin Fields. I gave him an A-. Okay, he played great. He has some stuff to work on. That's why I gave him the A-. He's got to work on his throwing. I don't really think so as much as people think he does. Ryan Poles just has to work on getting him some weapons. But he used his legs, he used his arm, he had a lot of great throws. A- for Justin Fields. He's got to work on his fumbling issue. But pretty much that's about it. And I think he's our franchise quarterback. So Ryan Poles, you better not screw it up this offseason. So next is Darnell Mooney. That's before he got hurt, obviously. I gave him a B. So I thought he was going to exceed without Allen Robinson this year. And he kind of declined. He didn't really even have 500 yards for us, I think, this year. He kind of declined. He was a little disappointing, and then he got hurt. So I just gave him a straight flat B. Next up is Cole Kmet. I gave him an A+. I think he took that next step, and I think he's only going to go up from here. He's only going to get better. And him and Justin Fields seem to have that chemistry. I think he's going to be our franchise tight end for a pretty long time, and I hope he does. That's all I wanted to see from him, was him succeed in this league, and it looks like he's starting to turn a corner, so I'm happy for him. A+, I think he had I think 6 or 7 touchdowns this year, which is pretty decent. That's a decent amount for a tight end. Chase Claypool, I put a D-. Now, I think he can still be good, okay? But because of the trade, and it's not really Chase Claypool's fault, but because of how many catches and how many yards he had, he didn't even break 200 in like 7-8 games. That's not good. Yeah, he didn't even break 200 yards in the rest of the games until he got traded here. So I'm giving him a D-, and it's not really his fault, but because of the trade, we pretty much traded him for a first-round pick, so he didn't live up to that first-round pick potential, not even second-round pick potential, at least this year. So I'm giving him a D-, because he definitely disappointed me. Byron Pringle, yeah, do you even remember that we even signed him over the offseason? I was actually low-key excited about Byron Pringle. He was good on the Chiefs. He came here. I'm giving him a C-. He had some good catches. He had a touchdown. He had a really decent touchdown catch. But other than that, he was kind of meh. He barely got open. He barely even got the ball this year. I expected a little bit more from him. So C- for him. Dante Pettis, B+. He had some pretty bad drops. He can't run routes. He's weird. He exceeded my expectations because he's a practice squad guy. Let's be honest. He's a practice squad guy for any team. It doesn't matter if it's the Bears, Packers, whatever. He's a practice squad guy. So we let him on the active roster. He actually exceeded my expectations, but at the same time, he had some pretty bad drops this year. So I'm giving him a B+, simply only because he exceeded my expectations. My God, I can't speak. Travis Gibson. I'm going to go from offense to defense to, I'm going to do it differently. Travis Gibson. F. You get an F. My God, you were disappointing. I was expecting you to take over for Robert Quinn or Khalil Mack. And I know you don't have another person on the other side, but I was really expecting, before this season, I was expecting you to take a step forward. And you came out of this season with less sacks than you did last season. That is not good. That is not good. You get an F from me. Next up, we got Jaquan Brisker, A-. I only give him that A- because he still has to work on some stuff. He's not the greatest in coverage. He sometimes gets lost. He sometimes loses who he's defending, and they get big chunk plays. Like in the Bills game, there was a lot of big chunk plays that were caused by Jaquan Brisker. So A-. He was still fantastic this year. I still think he's going to be one of the best safeties in the league. Kyler Gordon, and also an A-. And again, I'm giving him that minus because the beginning of the year was extremely rough. It was rough for him. It was rough for us to watch. It was rough for Ryan Poles because he picked him first. His very first pick, he picked Kyler Gordon. So Kyler Gordon stepped it up. He had a decent amount of picks at the end of the year. And he turned a corner at the end of the year. So I think he's going to be a really good cornerback. Eddie Jackson, I'm giving him a B. I might actually change that to a B+ because he got hurt in the Jets game, I believe. He got hurt. But he started getting interceptions again at the beginning of the year. He started slowing down, but without Eddie Jackson, and the secondary was just not great. He is just a presence there. He's a great safety, I think, and he's still going to be. Okay, Sam Mustipher, F. You get an F from me, buddy. You were awful. I'm sorry. You're good for a practice squad. You're good for a practice squad. You are not good to be a starter, especially a center, especially to a young guy like Justin Fields. I can't tell you how many times Justin Fields had to jump up and get it. It was a high snap or a low snap, and they blamed Justin Fields for fumbling it. No, it was you. And even if you do snap it okay, you're a terrible blocker. You're awful. Sam Mustipher, you get an F. Justin Fields had no more than like 1.2 seconds to throw the ball. Pretty much the entire offensive line, besides Tevin Jenkins, gets an F from me. Cairo Santos, I'll give him a B+ because he's still a really good kicker, but he had like a 1 or 2 game stretch where he just couldn't make anything. It was that windy game, I can't remember. It was that windy game where he missed one, and then I think they elected to go for another one, and he said, no, I'm good. So I'm going to give him a B+. I mean, he's still Cairo Santos. He's still good. Braxton Jones, I'll give you a C. You're the only other one on the line that does not get an F. He had some good games, and he had some bad games. He just needs to keep it consistent. I get he's a rookie, and he played every snap for the Bears, which is awesome. That's awesome to see. But he still gets a C because he kept on getting beat a lot of times on plays that he probably shouldn't have gotten beat, by players he probably shouldn't have gotten beat by. But it's still awesome to see that he played every snap for the Bears, and I think he can still be very good. Tevin Jenkins, like I said, A. I gave him an A. He doesn't get an A+ because he still has some stuff to work on. But other than that, he doesn't really... He was pretty good. It was pretty good this year. He was definitely our best offensive lineman, so he gets an A from me. Khalil Herbert, B+. The only reason he's not getting an A is because I was really expecting him to take the next step this year, and he did. He was really good up until the point where he got hurt. He was good. And then he came back, and he wasn't as good, but I think if he has a full healthy season next year, he can really turn it around. So B+ from me. Khalil Herbert, I think, might be running back number 1 next year, and I'm excited to see where he goes. Because there was a point where he had like top 5 yards in the league. There was a point where he was in the top 5 in yards. Dave Montgomery, B-. I'm giving him a B- because he wasn't like decent. He wasn't disappointing this year, but he wasn't great. He was good. He was good. He was good. He wasn't like anything to talk about. Like he was all right. He's still Dave Montgomery. I think he has a potential, if we have the right offensive line, to be one of the top running backs in the league. But because we don't have an offensive line, and he can break tackles, he almost never gets tackled for a loss. Unless someone doesn't block, he almost never gets tackled for a loss. So, B- for Dave Montgomery. Okay. Matt Eberflus, doing the coaches now. B- for Matt Eberflus. He's had a decent. I like the culture he's building in Hallis Hall in the Bears organization. I like what he's trying to do, but a lot of it didn't show on the field 100%. Sorry, you see it sometimes. The hits philosophy, the hits principle, whatever. You see it sometimes, and our defense had good games, and then like almost all the rest of the year, they were terrible. I think maybe our defense played good maybe 3 games out of the 17 games we played. So Matt Eberflus with a better defense, I think he can be better. But he's going to get a B- from me this year. And the reason I'm doing the minus is because he needs to work on clock management and stuff. And I think he worked on that near the end of the season. So I'm not really worried about Matt Eberflus. Luke Getsy. Luke Getsy gets a C-. Okay? Now let me explain why. Some people want to give him Fs. Some people want to give him Ds. I'm giving him a C-. It was a C, but I had to think about it for a little bit. Okay, so I give him a C because he got the most out of Justin Fields. Not the most, like top tier, but he got more than our previous coaches got out of him. So I have to give him props for that. He got more out of Justin Fields than any of our other coaches could the last 2 years, or the last year. So the reason I'm giving him a C- is because he has to work on situational play calling. His situational play calling has been so bad. It was so bad this year. He didn't know when to run. He didn't know when to pass. He didn't know when to call a QB designed run. He didn't know when to do anything. He didn't know when to go for the field goal, go for it on 4th. I know that's not always his call, but he's a decent. Like, if he has a good play call and he thinks it's okay, he's going to tell Matt Eberflus, yes, I want to go for it. I didn't like 100% of the stuff that Luke Getsy did this year. I probably liked about 60% of the stuff. He needs to work on when to throw it, when to run it, when to QB run it. He needs to work on all this stuff. When to screenplay. He needs to work on it because it was pretty disappointing this year. So he gets a C- from me. Alan Williams, our defensive coordinator, he gets a C+. And let me tell you why. A lot of people aren't happy with him either. With this team, with this defense, yes, our secondary is pretty good. At least I think so. He did his best. And there were some games where they came out swinging. Our defense, especially that second Packers game, we ended up losing. But our defense came out swinging. So with what he had to work with, I'll give him a C+. Last up, Ryan Poles. I'll give him a B. And a lot of people don't want him to give him, like, they don't want to give him over a B either, but he did the best he could work with. Now, this grade can change, because this offseason is probably one of the most important seasons in Bears history. It just is. We won 1 Super Bowl, and we haven't been good since. The past 40 years, we haven't won anything. I mean, we were in the Super Bowl in like 2005 or 6, I can't remember, but we haven't been even close. Besides that, we haven't really been good. I want a high-flying offense. Ryan Poles, work on offense. Look at what the Chiefs are doing right now. The Chiefs have a very, very high-flying offense, but have a decent defense. It's decent. It's actually below average. But because their offense is so good, they keep up with other teams and they put up more points than other teams than their defense allows. So, judging off of this year, what Ryan Poles had to work with, I'll give him a B. So, let me know in the comment section below what your guys' grades are. If it's different than mine, if you disagree, if you agree, I don't care. I mean, I do care. I want to know if you do. But don't be a dick about it, because I won't care then. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Bear down.